English, you would say, the sunset was beautiful last night. I need to talk to the manager. You need to add the article the to these nouns. But did you know that there are many common words in English that don't use the? Today you'll learn why you should never add the to these common words. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. What do you think about this sentence? We usually eat the breakfast around 7:30. This sentence is incorrect. You must say we usually eat breakfast around 7:30. So never add the to breakfast, lunch, or dinner. For example, kids, lunch is ready. You could use a possessive. You could say, kids, your dinner is ready. You can do that, but don't say, kids, the dinner is ready. Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now you might be wondering, Jennifer, why can't I add the? It's because some nouns don't use the when the nouns are used generally, routinely, or abstractly. Keep in mind, this is not a general rule for all nouns. So don't take the information I'm sharing with you and apply it to all nouns. You need to memorize the nouns in this lesson, and the information I'm sharing applies to these nouns. Remember our example, we usually eat breakfast around 7:30. In this case, don't add the because we're talking about a general breakfast. But keep in mind throughout this lesson that it is possible to add the if you change the sentence structure and change the meaning. I can absolutely say the breakfast you made yesterday was so delicious. In this case, you add the because it's a specific breakfast, the one you made yesterday. In this sentence, it would be grammatically incorrect without the. Keeping what we just reviewed in mind, what do you think about this sentence? The happiness is the most important thing in life. This sentence is incorrect. You simply want happiness is the most important thing in life. There is no the before happiness because we're talking about general happiness. You can think of it as general or abstract. But do you agree with that? Happiness is the most important thing in life? If you do, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. I certainly do, so hopefully you do as well. Now remember, you can take a general or abstract concept like happiness and make it specific. For example, I will never forget the happiness I felt when I held my child for the first time. So in this case, you add the because it's specific happiness. It's the happiness caused by holding my child. So throughout this lesson, always think about how you can have a general sentence without the and a specific sentence with the. For example, I just want more happiness in my life. General. I just want more of the happiness I felt when I was a kid. Specific. Don't say every day I drive my kids to the school at 7:30 a.m. You may already know this one. You would simply say every day I drive my kids to school at 7:30 a.m. There is no the added before school because it's a routine location. This applies to school, work, home, and church. So just remember those 4 locations. But remember, you can always make it a specific location. Did you hear that the school was closed today because of an electrical issue? So in this case, it could be the school downtown, the school next to a library. It's a specific location. It's not the routine school that I go to or my kids go to. In the morning, you would simply say, kids, make sure you're ready for school in 10 minutes. But remember, you can make it specific by saying she dropped off some supplies at the school where she used to teach, a specific school. Don't say, I love listening to the music every day. You know this, right? I love listening to music every day. No the, because we're talking about general music. So in a general sense, music helps me focus while studying. No the, this is a general concept. But you could say, the music helps me focus while studying. Keep in mind, if you add the, it becomes specific music. So it should be obvious based on the context what specific music you're referring to. For example, the music currently playing helps me focus while studying. In general, you can say, I love music. To be specific, I loved the music at the party. What do you think about this sentence? We're moving to the United States. This is correct. But keep in mind that proper nouns such as countries and cities don't take the. The United States, the United Kingdom are the most common exceptions. So you never add the to proper nouns unless it's an exception. So you would say, I've been to Canada, to Japan, to Germany, to Brazil, and the United States. You would not say, the Canada is beautiful. You would simply say, Canada is beautiful. Thinking of the United States, the exception, you would not say, have you ever been to the Central Park in New York? You need to say, have you ever been to Central Park in New York? So here, Central Park is a proper noun, which means it's an official name. Common ones are Central Park, Buckingham Palace, Times Square. Don't add the. But keep in mind, and this is confusing and requires memorization, the can be included as part of the official name. For example, last year I went to France just to see the Eiffel Tower. So when you learn the proper name of landmarks or places, you have to learn if the is included in the proper name or not, because the proper name is the Eiffel Tower. The is part of the name. This applies to the White House, the Colosseum, the Taj Mahal. Let's review this sentence. Last year, we visited Sydney, Australia, and our highlight was seeing the Sydney Opera House. So here, the is part of the proper name. The Sydney Opera House is the name of the landmark in Sydney. Don't say, are you watching the Super Bowl 2025? Simply say, are you watching Super Bowl 2025? This is because Super Bowl 2025 is a proper noun without the. But if you don't use 2025 or whatever year it is, you would simply say, are you watching the Super Bowl? So in this case, the Super Bowl is a proper noun with the. Don't say, I love World Cup. You need to say, I love the World Cup. Don't say, I went to Olympics. I went to the Olympics. So again, you simply need to memorize if the is part of the proper noun. Don't say, one day I'd love to climb the Mount Everest, because it isn't part of the proper noun. One day I'd love to climb Mount Everest. One day I'd love to swim in Lake Tahoe. The guideline is, notice I said guideline, it's not a rule, it's a guideline. Know the with unique mountains. So Mount Everest is a unique mountain. And know the with lakes. But again, that's a guideline. You would use the in the following. Have you ever climbed the Himalayas, swam in the Dead Sea, or visited the Sahara Desert? So again, the guideline, not the rule, the guideline is add the to ranges or groups. So the Himalayas, it's a range of mountains. Same with the Sahara Desert, you can think of it as a range. And also add the to large bodies of water such as seas, rivers, and oceans. But again, it's a guideline. Let's review this advanced example. By 2090, the vegetables will represent more than 60% of our daily diet. Wow, this sounds very advanced, but it's incorrect because you wouldn't add the. And you don't add the because vegetables here is general. It's general vegetables. Remember, this goes back to our general versus specific. Let's see how we can make vegetables specific and add the. By 2090, the vegetables grown in the Netherlands will represent more than 60% of our daily diet. So in this case, you add the because now it's not general vegetables, it's specific vegetables, the ones grown in the Netherlands. Don't say she's majoring in the psychology at university. Simply say she's majoring in psychology at university. Know the with academic subjects, so psychology, biology, math, whatever that subject is. Now you could say the psychology department is hosting a networking event tonight. In this case, the is added to department, the department, because department is a countable noun. Psychology, the psychology department, describes the department. So psychology functions as an adjective. The department, the psychology department. Here's one I hear a lot of mistakes with. Don't say they're taking action to fight the climate change. Simply say they're taking action to fight climate change. Know the with climate change because it's considered a general concept. Now, you could say we need to address the climate change issue. Think about what we just learned with the psychology department. In this case, the is added to issue because issue is a countable noun. Climate change describes the issue. What type of issue? A climate change issue. So climate change is an adjective. Coming back to sports, don't say he always plays the basketball after school. Simply say he always plays basketball after school. Know the with sports. So you would say tennis is my favorite sport, but hockey is my husband's favorite. What about you? What's your favorite sport? Now you could absolutely say thanks for the basketball, but in this case, basketball isn't the sport, it's the thing, it's the noun, and it's a countable noun, so that's why you add the. It's a specific countable noun, the basketball you gave me. So you can say thanks for the basketball. Now I can play basketball, the sport. Now I can play basketball anytime. Here's a common mistake I hear. Don't say you should discuss this with the human resources. Human resources is often shortened to HR. So you should discuss this with the HR. Don't say that. Simply say you should discuss this with human resources, with HR. In this case, know the, because human resources is a proper name. It's the proper name of the department. So you would say we had a meeting with accounting, HR, sales, and legal. Those are the names of the departments. But you can absolutely say we had a meeting with the accounting team. And you should know why, because the is added to team. Team is a countable noun. The team. What type of team? Accounting describes team, so it's the adjective. The accounting team. Don't say the company is investing in the technology to improve efficiency. The company is investing in technology. So in this case, no the, because technology is general. So in a general sense, you would say advances in technology. In general, advances in technology have reduced climate change. Again, a general concept. You can make it specific though and say the technology we developed last year will reduce climate change. So again, it's specific technology, the one we developed last year. Don't say the honesty is something I really value in friendships. Simply say honesty is something I really value in friendships. The same reason we learned with happiness is just a general concept. You could be specific. The honesty you showed at the meeting was brave. So again, it's not honesty as a general concept, it's specific, the honesty you showed at the meeting. If you hear someone say, I appreciate honesty, then you know they're talking about it as a general concept more abstractly. If you hear someone say, I appreciate the honesty, even if they don't continue on, you know it's specific and perhaps it's obvious based on context. Your friend just shared with you that she doesn't like your haircut. So you say, I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the honesty you just showed when you let me know that you don't like my haircut. Don't say everyone deserves the love. Everyone deserves love. Of course, know the, because it's a general concept. Love is what makes life meaningful. Let's look at how we can make this specific. The love between them is strong. Now it's not just any love, it's specific love, the love between them. Or you could say, can you feel the love in this house? So again, it's specific love, the love in this house. I know this is a confusing topic. If you want me to keep making lessons on this, put let's go, put let's go in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. You can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.